Hey, I'm Matt Manning. Thanks so much for joining me for today's devotional on YouTube with us on our channel, Manning Resources. This is one of our resources. It's a devotional called Finding Free, and it's what we're going through right now through our devotional mini-series. And so we are today on day 16. We're going to talk about what it means to abide in Jesus. And we're talking about in this portion of what it means to create a life you love. In each part of this devotional series of these 30 different devotionals, we've talked about in part 1 about how to understand our personality that God has given to us. Part 2 is all about discovering our purpose. And then now part 3, we're talking about how to create a life that we love, a life that Jesus intends for us to live. And so we're going to talk about this concept of what it means to abide in Jesus. In our backyard, we've got a kind of a whole forest, if you will. The story from The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe about the little girl Lucy who goes into the wardrobe in the big empty mansion as they're living there, and she pushes through all the different coats in the wardrobe, and she pushes past those and sees some pine trees, and it enters into the land of Narnia. That's kind of what our backyard is like. We've got some big trees back there. We've got a pine tree that's kind of tilting over our fence line into our neighbor's yard, and thankfully they haven't said anything yet about us getting it cut down. But as our kids, they love to go back there and they hide and they play amongst the trees and underneath the pine tree, and they actually, some of my girls that go back there, they found a little place, a little ledge to go ahead and sit on a branch, and that's where they hide and they play games. And they've got a little fort back there, and they've got places that they like to go and disappear and read hours on end. And so as much as they love those little nooks and crannies to hide in, it just reminds me about these trees and how Jesus talks about that He is the vine and we are the branches. And trees are pretty amazing. When it comes to trees, I want to just share with you just a couple of thoughts that trees, they're a lot like our spiritual life. 6 simple, interesting facts about the trees. Number 1 is this, that trees are resilient. That trees, they can withstand so much, especially, for instance, olive trees. They can withstand long droughts, they can withstand disease, even natural disasters, and some trees can even withstand forest fires. They can withstand all those different things. Some of the olive trees that arborists have discovered are actually literally thousands of years old. They're even olive trees that are alive today that most likely they existed back when Jesus prayed in the Garden of Gethsemane. Another interesting fact is that trees help each other. There's a redwood tree called the albino redwood that doesn't have the capacity to create its own chlorophyll. It's that green color that are in the leaves of trees. And so as its roots go down, it actually taps into the roots of other redwood trees, and it's able to get the chlorophyll from those roots to pull it into itself to be able to live and survive. Now, as trees help each other, they're silent, powerful giants. Trees have the capacity to pull up through their roots, on average, about 10 gallons of water per week. That's for smaller trees. And it's based on especially the per inch per diameter. So the bigger the tree, the more gallons of water come up through the tree. Some trees are known, if they're by an unlimited source of water, to pull up as much as 150 gallons of water a day through their root system. Some of the tall redwood trees, they actually have what they use air roots, where they actually have branches that pull and suck moisture out of the air so it can hydrate the tree high up where they're literally hundreds of feet tall. Number 4 is this, that trees sleep, that they actually rest at night. Trees are known that their branches at dusk, that their branches will actually kind of go down and droop a little bit as they rest, and as the morning dawns, they'll kind of pick back up and straighten up as they come to life and wake up. Number 5 is that trees work in tandem with each other. It's been found that there's some trees that are poisonous, and they're actually next to another tree that is actually the antidote to that poison. The Chechen tree secretes a poisonous sap that if you got it onto your skin, it would cause a rash or an irritation or blisters. But then there's another tree next to the Chechen tree called the Chaka tree that produces a chemical compound that can counteract, and it's the antidote to that Chechen tree, that sap that can be so poisonous. And last of all, trees live incredibly long. David Curry, a dendrochronologist, somebody who can go ahead and look at the rings of a tree to determine how old the tree is, that he once had put a core in a borer or into a bristle pine cone tree, and his borer got stuck, so he cut down the tree to get his borer out and realized that he had cut down up to that point what was the oldest tree he had ever seen. And so unfortunately with that tree, cut it down, but another bristle pine cone was located in California, and it's thought to be about 5,000 years old. So it was alive during the time of the Egyptians. It was around when Stonehenge was created, and most likely even before the days of Noah. And that location is kept secret, so nobody can cut that tree down or mess with that tree. Jesus talks about in John chapter 15, when he was at the Last Supper with the disciples, he says, "I am the vine and you're the branches. Without me you can do nothing." You can't live your life apart from me. And just as we have all those different interesting facts about trees and how they need water and they need each other and how they grow and how they're silent but they're powerful, all those things, it really applies to our spiritual life and our walk with God. So when it comes to creating a life we love, we cannot live life without paying attention to what's below the surface, without paying attention to what's inside. Trees need roots to stand strong. And so too, our life, as the roots of our faith go down deep into Jesus, they need to be strong as we rely upon and depend upon Jesus Christ. For more encouragement, you can read John chapter 15, verses 1 through 8, as Jesus talks about this concept of how to abide in the vine. Thanks so much for watching.